Juggernaut.
Hello there and welcome to another video. It's been a little while since I've done one of these kind of off the cuff videos, just commenting on a few bits of gaming news. And what bigger gaming news is there apart from E3 this week? And we're a few days in at this point, and there have been a lot of new tidbits of information, some great announcements, and I thought I would cover my opinions on what we've learned so far. So I'm going to break it down on a per show basis. Start with... Okay, so Sony's conference was a little bit of a change of tact from Microsoft's. Sony had no hardware to announce. I was half expecting them to announce a price drop on the PS4 to compete with the Xbox One X. That didn't come to fruition. However, Sony basically relied on their strengths, and they showed off games that we saw previously in previous E3s. We got to see more of God of War. We got to see more of Spider-Man. We got to see more of... who cares what else we saw more of? We saw it at E3 2016. We saw it at E3 2015. Here is a list of all of the exclusive PlayStation 4 games that were announced in Sony's E3 conference. That's it. There was nothing, not a single game that wasn't VR related that was announced that was exclusive. We'd already seen Detroit, we'd already seen God of War, we'd already seen the usual garbage. It was really disappointing. After the strong showing that Sony showed when they announced Shenmue 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake in the same show, it's been a downward spiral. There was nothing that excited me. Except for one thing. I saw a bridge, I saw a Colossus, and I thought to myself, ooh, Shadow of the Colossus 2. Wrong. A remaster of Shadow of the Colossus 1 again. Yeah, so the game I bought on PS2 and bought again on PS3, they're reselling to me for PS4, rather than give me a new story. What a disappointment. What a disappointment. That's how you could entirely describe the entire Sony conference. Utter disappointment. Not a single PS Vita game was shown. It's dead. May it rest in peace. I love that machine, but it's gone. They did announce Undertale before the show, coming to PS Vita, but they didn't actually show anything in the show itself, which is a major disappointment. In terms of games for the PS4, I can't recall a single exclusive game that was announced for the first time at Sony's E3 conference. On the plus side, again, there was a lot of VR backup games, which was a pleasant surprise. I thought that PSVR had started to wither and die. It was a really welcome scene to see so many interesting VR games. I don't think I would spend money on them, but it's nice to know that they're there. There was a Final Fantasy fishing game. What? There was this 2D platformer, which I'm very interested to see how the VR works on that. There was Fallout VR, there was Skyrim VR, there's Doom VR coming out on the PC, and I think that will translate over to the PlayStation 4 as well. Yeah, so there was a fair selection of virtual reality games for the headset. Not enough for me to consider buying one, but enough for me to want to play with one. So it's getting there. It's getting there. Spider-Man looked great at the PS4 showing. Spider-Man, in fact, I think is their strongest game that they had this year. God of War looked a fantastic game, but we already got the basics. We got the big shock of Kratos being a father and guiding his son through last year. So seeing it again this year lost all of its sense of impact for me. However, Spider-Man looked 10 times better than last year's sneak preview. The actual gameplay footage of Spider-Man looked spot on. It reminded me of Spider-Man 2 and Neversoft's original Spider-Man game for the PS1. Both the best Spider-Man games ever, So that can only be a good thing, right? And with the pedigree of the developers in control of the game, it looks like it's going to be a doozy. And it's a PS4 exclusive, so it's going to be one that's definitely going to get my money when it launches. Now, as for the rest of the games, I'll be right back. I've just got to check the list to see if there actually was anything worthy of talking about announced. Nope. Monster Hunter, but that's coming out on Xbox and PC. I'm looking at the list right now as I talk to you. Detroit looks like the typical David Cage garbage. It's basically a souped-up Dragon's Lair. I have no interest in that game whatsoever. It can eat a bag of dicks. Call of Duty Modern Warfare has gone. Call of Duty World at War 2 takes the game back to its roots. No perk system, no wall running, no parkour. Looks a lot of fun, but it's not a Sony exclusive game. So we've seen a lot of that already, although it was nice to see actual multiplayer footage of that being shown. Days Gone, for some reason, doesn't do anything for me. I should love it. I should, because I'm a huge zombies fan. There are a lot of enemies on screen at once, but there's something about the game that just doesn't gel with me. There's something not quite there. It's like the zombies are a puzzle more than a threat, from what I've seen of it so far. And yeah, it's just... it could be a great game. I'm going to have to play it for myself to find out, but at the moment, I have no interest in it at this particular time. If there's a beta or something, I will absolutely look into that further, but right now, I'm more interested in the Horizon Zero Dawn DLC, which looks absolutely wonderful. More Horizon is a welcome addition for me, as well as more Uncharted, which we did hear announced last year, but it was nice to see it actually running in Uncharted Last Legacy for the Sony conference. All in all, Sony's conference sucked ass. There was next to no new games announced, unless you had a VR headset. If you had a VR headset for Sony, you'd be very happy with the games that they announced there, but for me, nah. It was an utter flunk. So let's move on, shall we? Let's go to a couple of the game developers. Let's move on to Bethesda.